Times I can't even trust myself.
We went to a Trump rally disguised as what we thought were clearly satirical characters.
You should be nervous standing next to me right now. I gotta be extra careful. I gotta look in the mirror every day when I wake up and make sure don't do nothing stupid.
But what happened to us completely changed our perspective of Trump supporters. This was during the beginning of Trump's rise, when nobody was really taking him seriously, and all we were seeing were his insane sound bites on television and violent beatings at his rallies. So we went expecting the worst, but all of us were pretty surprised to see how loving and good intentioned these people were.
Trump, we support his message. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much, brother.
Which made the whole thing all the more surreal, and when we went back to edit the footage, we stopped finding it funny. Look, if you voted for Trump or you're planning on it, please watch the rest of this video. We want to reach out to you.
We gotta get that wall on the border,
right?
For sure, on the border. Not between us.
Not between us. I like that. I like that.
Look, Mexicans, they're not your enemies. The only reason they're coming here is because our free trade deals destroyed their economy. And our failed drug war is responsible for a conflict that's killed more civilians than the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. You would try to get the fuck out of there too, but they're not the reason you're struggling to pay the bills, and they're not the reason our country isn't great. Poll after poll, we think the biggest threat to our safety are radical Muslims. You're more likely to die from your furniture, and most terrorist attacks in the United States are carried out by white extremists, but we've been conditioned to fear.
We're at Terror Alert Orange, which means something might go down somewhere in some way at some point in time. So look sharp!
And deprive the wisdom to understand that the war on terror conveniently has no end.
Come on, fire!
It's a cycle of death exploited by profiteers and is justifying the shredding of our constitutional rights. The president can now kill American citizens and lock them up indefinitely without a trial. We've been at war 90% of our history, and our military bases cover the globe. The big government you should fear is the one that needs to be fed with blood. If you support our troops, don't send them to war. And you know the history of African Americans in this country, and you don't really believe in this myth of makers and takers.
I realized that I was wrong.
Besides, most recipients of food stamps are white, and the biggest welfare queens by far are Walmart and McDonald's. If we don't raise the minimum wage, we can keep paying the salaries of their employees for them. And are the Chinese taking our jobs? Well, yes, but it's not China's fault that the corporations we've created and dedicated our lives to and subsidized and allowed to avoid paying taxes are leaving us for higher profits. They have no allegiance to America, and they're actively working to rob you of your voice in government. Politicians and the media, they don't fight for you anymore, and you have every right to be angry, but the Trump phenomenon has nothing to do with Trump. He's a reminder that we fall victim to age-old tactics time and again because we have historical amnesia. Make America great again. It resonates with so many of us because the vast majority of Americans are worse off than they were. Wages have declined. Inequality is worse than ever. The 400 richest people in this country have more wealth than 60% of Americans. And Donald Trump is one of those 400.
I'm not using the lobbyists. I'm not using donors. I don't care.
He doesn't need to be bought out by lobbyists to have the same interests as our real enemies, who hide safely behind the anonymity of the corporate state. They exhaust our resources, brainwash us, pollute our air, food, and water, gamble our life savings while sitting in skyscrapers, plotting complex ways to become richer at the expense of us. And they laugh. They laugh while we blame each other. The only institutions which provide context for our suffering are straddling an entire generation in $1 trillion of debt. We're punishing our children for trying to learn how to undo our negligence. Listen, I know gays and abortions are hardline issues for some, but everything you hope Trump is can be found in another candidate. And yeah, I know the years of conditioning to hate the word socialism are making you feel very uncomfortable right now, but we've been lied to. Trickle-down Reaganomics, deregulation, neoliberalism, it's all bullshit. It ends in a bubble while opportunists like Trump walk away rich. He spent his career demeaning people and lying. He's a caricature of the worst aspects of America's collective ego, and he's fooling you. Your anger is legitimate, but it's misdirected. If we want to make America great, we can't do it by building a wall or by dropping bombs. We have to do it by caring about each other as much as we care about ourselves. That's when we'll be great. That's when we can be honest about solving our collective problems. I'll never forget sitting in the rally and looking at everybody and realizing these people are just like me. These are my neighbors. They have the same fears and the same desire for love and security. How did we get this far? How have we become so detached, so alienated from each other and from the truth? We need to start having a conversation. It's our duty, and we can't call each other fascists and racists and lefties. We have to talk as Americans. We all want the best for this country, right? We want the best for our children. Well, let's talk.